Hello and welcome to our main newsletter. I'm Jake Holehouse, CEO of HH Insurance. As we approach hurricane season, it's crucial to ensure you have the right coverage for potentially vulnerable areas of your home. Today, we're focusing on two important topics: flood insurance options and screened enclosure coverage. Understanding these aspects of your policy can make a significant difference if we experience severe weather this season. Let's dive in. Preferred flood insurance. As we discussed in our February newsletter, flooding remains a separate issue from standard homeowners insurance. Today, I want to first highlight the benefits of preferred flood insurance. When we talk about preferred flood insurance coverage, we're referring to optional flood insurance for properties where it's not required by a lender. Even if your mortgage company doesn't require flood insurance, having this coverage can provide crucial protection. Many homeowners don't realize they're at risk until it's too late. Approximately 25% of flood claims happen in preferred flood zones. Remember, we're in Florida, meaning we are all in a flood zone of various risk. Preferred flood programs offer coverage at competitive rates for properties in lower risk zones, providing peace of mind that's well worth the investment. Remember, standard homeowners insurance policies do not cover flood damage. Without flood insurance, you'd be responsible for all repair costs out of pocket. FEMA assistance, if available, is typically a loan that must be repaid with interest. Preferred flood insurance is an affordable way to protect your investment, even if you're not in a designated high-risk flood zone. Excess flood coverage. For many homeowners in a high-risk or mandatory purchase flood zone, the standard $250,000 in building coverage provided by the National Flood Insurance Program may not be sufficient to rebuild their home in case of a total loss. This is where excess flood coverage comes into play, offering protection beyond that initial $250,000 limit. Think of excess flood as a flood policy with a $250,000 deductible, providing additional coverage. Even if you have an elevated home where the living area is above the base flood elevation, you should still consider excess flood coverage. Why? Because foundation damage can lead to a total loss of your home, even when water never reaches your first floor. Floodwaters can undermine pilings, erode soil beneath foundations, and create structural instability that renders the entire house unsafe, potentially requiring complete demolition and rebuilding. It's crucial to recognize that with today's construction inflation, what used to be adequate coverage may now fall short of actual rebuilding costs. The $250,000 NFIP limit was established years ago, but construction costs have risen dramatically since then. Materials are more expensive, labor costs have increased, and supply chain issues can further drive up rebuilding expenses. A home that might have cost $250,000 to rebuild a few years ago could now require $500,000 or more for the same reconstruction. Without excess flood coverage, you would be responsible for covering that substantial gap out of pocket. However, it's important to note that excess flood coverage is not available in all circumstances. Specifically, it's typically unavailable if you've had a prior flood claim on your property, your home is below elevation in a flood zone, such as slab-on-grade construction in a flood zone AE or VE, your property doesn't meet current building codes or flood mitigation requirements. If you're unsure whether you qualify for excess flood coverage or want to explore preferred flood program options, I encourage you to reach out to our team well before hurricane season intensifies. We can assess your specific situation and recommend coverage options for your property. Please note that there is a 15 to 30-day wait for new flood or excess flood coverage to start, depending on the carrier. Now, let's address an often overlooked and potentially costly aspect of hurricane damage: screened enclosures, specifically enclosures over pools. These popular Florida additions are particularly vulnerable during high wind events. The coverage varies significantly between carriers. It's crucial to understand how different insurance carriers handle screened enclosures. Please note, These are general discussions, not particular to a specific policy and based on owner-occupied HO3 policies. Citizens property insurance. Screened enclosures are excluded from standard coverage. TipTap, Olympus, Homeowners Choice, and Universal, these carriers include screened enclosure in their standard policies. The rest of the market and other carriers mostly offer buyback options, typically available in $1,000 increments. If you've recently added a pool and screened enclosure to your property, it's especially important to review your coverage before hurricane season begins. Many homeowners assume these structures are automatically covered under their policy, only to discover after a storm that they have insufficient or no coverage for these costly investments. We recommend contacting us at least 30 to 45 days before hurricane season to review and adjust your coverage if needed. This ensures policy changes are in place before a named storm approaches, as many carriers implement binding restrictions once a storm is on the horizon or in the box. Now, here are 3 action steps we recommend taking before this hurricane season. First, review your flood zone designation. Even if you weren't in a flood zone previously, FEMA continuously updates flood maps. Your property status might have changed. Second, assess your coverage limits. Confirm that your current coverage limits reflect current construction costs and the value of your structure and contents. And third, review your current coverage. Take a moment to review your current policy documents and coverage details. If you have concerns or questions about specific coverage for your flood or screened enclosure, please contact us and we'll be happy to assist. As always, we're here to help you navigate these complex insurance decisions. If you have questions about flood coverage, screened enclosures, or any other aspects of your policy, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. Remember, the time to review your hurricane coverage is before the storm warnings begin. With proper preparation, you can have peace of mind knowing that your home is protected throughout hurricane season. Thank you for viewing our May newsletter. Stay safe, and we'll see you next month with more valuable insurance insights. Disclaimer: this newsletter provides general information about insurance coverage and is not intended as specific advice. Policy terms, conditions, and coverage details vary by individual circumstance. Please contact us directly to discuss your particular situation and coverage needs.